Hey guys, welcome back. I've got a snowblower here with a blown up engine and I just want to show you guys what caused it. This is a Briggs Stratton engine. It's 305 cc's, and if I pull on the pull cord you can see it's very easy to pull. The spark plug is in, by the way. So even if you don't work on small engines, you can tell right away that there is absolutely something wrong with this engine. And the reason why this engine blew up is because one of the yellow oil plugs at the bottom here came out, and the person kept using it that way, not knowing that this had happened. All the oil came out and then the engine blew. Probably what's happened inside the engine is that the connecting rod snapped. And there's also another yellow plug at the bottom here. So if you do own a snowblower and it's got a Briggs engine like this with these yellow plugs, just periodically check to see if they're tight. There's a lot of vibrations on snowblowers, and if you don't check them, they will eventually come loose and come out like this one. Now, a lot of people ask me, why are there yellow plugs at the bottom of the engine if you already have a dipstick to check the oil? Well, my answer to that is probably because this engine can be used on different equipment. So for summer equipment, they may not have a dipstick over here. So that's my guess as to why they put multiple oil caps on these engines. Now, I've seen this happen in the shop quite a few times. Anything that leaves the shop with an engine like that, I always tighten up these two caps. I also remind the customers to do so periodically. And I can see how it could be easy to forget about those yellow caps because the dipstick is over here, and this is also where you fill up the oil in the engine as well. So it's a shame because the machine wasn't that old. As you can see, it's in really good shape. But the price of a new engine is quite expensive here in Canada, and oftentimes people do not want to spend that kind of money. So what happened here is the guy decided not to repair it. He's just going to go and buy a new machine. So I've got the engine out here and I'm going to take off the sump cover just to see what's happened in there. And you're going to need a 1/2 inch or 13mm socket to remove all these bolts. Today I'm using my impact. It's going to be a lot quicker. And you'll need to remove the 5/16 bolt here. Now, I haven't emptied the oil that was left in here. I just want to see how much is left. At this point here, I need to pop the cover off. So I'm just going to tap back here with the rubber mallet. And that was pretty easy. So far, no oil is leaking out. And here's the sump cover. You can see some metal pieces inside there as well. And if you look inside the engine here, it's a complete mess. You can see pieces of the rod over here, all at the bottom. Now, usually these engines contain about 1/2 liter or more of oil, and that's all that's left when one of these little caps here comes off. This engine must have ran for quite a while with that little cap off because there's hardly any oil left in there. Now, usually when this kind of damage happens, it damages the crankshaft where the connecting rod meets. And I'm feeling it right now with my finger, and there's a lot of scoring there. And oftentimes it'll end up damaging the cylinder as well. And you can see some damage inside there. And I'm feeling it with my fingers right now, and it is scored inside the cylinder. So an engine like this, I do not bother to rebuild. It's just totally not worth it. But again, look at the damaged connecting rod over here. All the pieces are collected in the bottom. This is where the governor arm is. Even that's damaged. Here's the camshaft. It doesn't look too bad. While I've got the camshaft off, I just want to give you guys a tip here. I've had to remove these camshafts from certain engines because the little spring here had broken right off. And this is part of the decompressor when you go to start it. And the guy had a really hard time starting it because that spring was gone. Here are the push rods, and this rod here is nice and straight. So I'm going to salvage these parts here. And this rod here looks good too. So basically what I'm going to salvage off this engine is the starter, the fuel tank, the muffler, the recoil, the carburetor, the flywheel, and the coil. And if the cylinder head is good, I'm going to save that as well. So I've got the whole engine apart now, guys, and I'm going to show you the damage to each part of the engine. First of all, here's the crankshaft and the damage caused when that connecting rod broke. You can see some scoring, some marks on there. And this could be very iffy as to whether it's worth fixing and using again. I prefer not to when there's this kind of damage. If I'd be doing it for myself, it's a different story, but if you do it for somebody else, it may not last, and if it doesn't, they will be back. And now here's the cylinder. You can see inside some scoring and some marks. And the cylinder is part of the block on these engines. Here's a view from the inside. And this was pretty bad because part of the connecting rod here is stuck right there. It's on there quite tight. So this engine block is going to end up being scrap for my scrap guy. And now here's the piston, and you can see it's very bad. One of the skirt broke right off. There's part of the connecting rod. That piston is all scored, so I would not save anything on here, not even the rings. And here are all the parts that I'm salvaging from this engine. I think the head will still be good. So there's quite a few parts in there left that can be good to use again. So the lesson today, guys, is make sure those little yellow oil caps are tight all the time. So thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And have yourselves a great day.